Dear friends, welcome. Welcome to those in this room. Welcome to those scattered around our church, filling in every nook and cranny, the way Jerry would fill every space with love and welcome and gratitude. Welcome to those online as well. A large cloud of witnesses and beauty and love. We gather this day in a sacred circle of love because a dear loved one has died. And more importantly, we gather because a dear loved one has lived. Jerry lived a full life filled with love and laughter and sorrow and grief, a full human life with its challenges and its abundance of blessings. Jerry was in the research of healing his whole life, really, and was a spirit of wholeness himself, bringing life and joy and story and gratitude to his own life and to those around him, always working toward learning about, studying, and believing in a world that was more whole, more just, and more loving. We gather here because that life mattered to each person in this space and far beyond. Jerry's life touched your life in some way, however small or great, and today, for that life lived, we celebrate and we give thanks. We grieve the loss of his presence among us in body, and we try to keep our hearts open to the ways his spirit is present with us still. Here, gathered in his spiritual home since 1981, gathered around this chalice font that he helped create with dear friends Mike Podolsky and Don Hansen, Don Layton and Mel Amundsen in 1992. And among the words on the front of this are historic chalice table that say, "From the Young Helpers," a reminder of his love and commitment to the presence and the wisdom of young people within and beyond his family and this church. So I invite you to take a breath of gratitude as we hold each other and as we let sacred memories hold us, and a love that knows no end to hold Jerry.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to be free. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the dark black Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of a dark black night. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life you were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise. You were only waiting for this moment to arise.
In our tradition, we begin our services by lighting the chalice, a symbol of the warmth of love, a passion for justice, and a beacon of a free and open faith. Stephanie and Maya will light the chalice today and share words in honor and memory of Jerry Katzmann.
Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones as if your very life depended on it, and when the time comes, to let it go, let it go.
When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right, close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud, and soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? And they'll hurt you, yes, and desert you, and take your soul if you let them. Oh, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know? Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Oh yeah, you've got a friend. Hey baby, you've got a friend. Oh yeah, you've got a friend.
You Want a Physicist to Speak at Your Funeral by Aaron Freeman. You want a physicist to speak at your funeral. You want the physicist to talk to your grieving family about the conservation of energy so they will understand that your energy has not died. You want the physicist to remind your sobbing mother about the first law of thermodynamics, that no energy gets created in the universe and none is destroyed. You want your mother to know that all your energy, every vibration, every BTU of heat, every wave of every particle that was her beloved child remains with her in this world. You want the physicist to tell your weeping father that amid energies of the cosmos, you gave as good as you got. And at one point, you'd hope that the physicist would step down from the pulpit and walk to your broken-hearted spouse there in the pew and tell her that all the photons that ever bounced off your face, all the particles, those paths were interrupted were by your smile, by the touch of your hair. Hundreds of trillions of particles have raced off like children, their ways forever changed by you. And as your widow rocks in the arms of a loving family, may the physicist let her know that all the photons that bounced from you were gathered in the particle detectors that are her eyes, that those photons created within her constellations of electromagnetically charged neurons whose energy will go on forever. And the physicist will remind the congregation of how much of all our energy is given off as heat. There may be a few fanning themselves with their programs, as he says it, and he will tell them that the warmth that flowed through you in life is still here, still part of all that we are, even as we who mourn continue the heat of our own lives. And you'll want the physicist to explain to those who loved you that they need not have faith. Indeed, they should not have faith. Let them know that they can measure, that scientists have measured precisely the conservation of energy and found it accurate, verifiable, and consistent across space and time. You can hope your family will examine the evidence and satisfy themselves that the science is sound and that they will be comforted to know your energy is still around. According to the law of the conservation of energy, not a bit of you is gone. You're just less orderly. Epitaph by Merritt Malloy. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and to old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved, and if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on your eyes and not on your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
We'll sing Spirit of Life. The lyrics are up on the screen. I invite you to remain seated as we sing together.
As I began planning what to say today, I found myself thinking, what would Jerry do in this situation? He'd maybe have a few notes on a card or no notes at all, come up here and give a moving, heartfelt, yet humorous talk off the cuff, looking completely at ease, and all would be spellbound. Well, I come up here with my papers, a little shake in my hand and voice, but I'm comforted to think what Jerry would say to me if he were here now. Relax, Joey. Take a deep breath. You'll do fine. So I'm going to take that deep breath now and tell you about my friend, role model, and spiritual brother, Jerry Katzmann. Although Jerry and I both worked at Mayo, we actually met here through the UU Church. We hit it off immediately, and how could we not when we had so much in common? We both grew up Jewish in the New York area with similar religious trajectories. We learned some Hebrew, both did bar mitzvahs at age 13, and then kind of drifted away from Judaism, but kept it in terms of cultural identity. We both married wonderful women who just happened not to be Jewish, and both ended up joining this church after becoming parents, looking for a spiritual home for our families. He chuckled when I told him about my discomfort with even saying the word church. And he told me when he first came to visit, he would have bolted if he had seen any crucifixes. Jerry loved food, especially good food, well prepared. I loved cooking next to him when we made latkes, potato pancakes, for our annual multi-family Hanukkah celebration, and he would meticulously squeeze the water out of the hand-shredded potatoes so they would fry up crispier. I think I still have some scars on my forearms from the oil jumping up, but those latkes were delicious and crispy. Jerry was proud of his pie crusts as well, and he loved to share his skill with friends and family on March 14th, Pie Day, when he and Elizabeth made multiple tasty pies for us to sample. When we went on campouts, he would turn up his nose at instant coffee, bringing hand-ground coffee and pour-over filters for a great fresh brew. And Jerry loved the outdoors. He not only introduced me to the Boundary Waters canoe area, but he and Elizabeth introduced our entire family to it, planning, taking us along on a wonderful trip. We all remember fondly to this day. He brought fresh eggs, made pancakes, just picked blueberries. We ate better on that canoe trip than we usually did at home. Another summer, we hiked together with some fellow UUs at Yosemite National Park, and might have been a little dehydrated when we both found it hysterically funny that the park signs were cryptically speaking to us. Yo, Semite. What an adventurer he was. I know how much he enjoyed scuba diving, sharing that with his family, most recently this winter, having everyone together in Cozumel, Mexico. Robin and I were lucky enough to travel over time with he and Elizabeth, on several walking trips in England. I remember that magical time we all had getting up before dawn, seeing the sunrise over a Druid stone circle in England's Lake District. He loved relaxed travel as well, did mock me for my tendency to overplan my trips. He said he liked to have time to noodle around, take advantage of new opportunities and discoveries as they came up. Jerry was a valued member of our men's Chalice group for many years and was accurately described by one of our members. He listened deeply and didn't need to talk a lot, but everything he said had great depth and meaning. He was able to synthesize what we said and add to it. He was like a wise rabbi for our group. And the Hebrew rabbi is not only a spiritual leader, but also a teacher. That not only defines Jerry's impact on our church community, but also on his work colleagues. He was very influential in many people's careers as a mentor, and not just to training doctors, but also the technologists and other staff in the lab. He was so humble, you wouldn't know that he won multiple national and international awards for his groundbreaking research on multiple myeloma, a blood cancer, and that has vastly improved patient care. Or that he wrote more than 200 peer-review articles, 25 book chapters, 200 abstracts for national and international conferences. But people who worked with him stressed his personality above all. As one colleague wrote, Jerry had a real connection with the lab staff. The protein immunology lab is large, but Jerry knew the names of all the staff, their spouses, their kids, their interests, etc. He knew people were defined more by their life outside the lab than by their life in the lab. And I think all of these things, the food, the adventures, his beloved family, his medical career, they tie together the essence of Jerry. Connecting with people on a truly human level, he had a generous spirit, an incredible sense of humor, and a great curiosity for life. He loved to have fun and share it with others. When he and Elizabeth came up with the idea for a bonfire to celebrate 12th Night in January a few years ago, the idea was for church members to bring their Christmas trees to Squash Blossom Farm and set them on fire in celebration. Well, Jerry liked to go big. If you're going to have a bonfire, let's make it huge. So he borrowed a trailer, went to the county recycling center where people had brought their Christmas trees for recycling, and by himself loaded a trailer full of evergreens the day before the party and brought them to the farm. Let's just say the resultant bonfire with our trees added to the pile Jerry had preloaded might have been seen from outer space that night. There is a Hebrew expression, zichrono libracha, that is often said when a great person dies. It translates to, may his memory be a blessing. I feel blessed to have so many wonderful memories of Jerry, as I'm sure you all do too, and we will miss him dearly. So, zichrono libracha, my friend, may it be so.
these words and music. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Thanks, Joe. So I was thinking I didn't really have a lot of jazzy, entertaining words to say about Jerry. We left Rochester and this beloved UU congregation over 27 years ago to move to Phoenix. But we maintained loving relationships with the Katzmanns. And I say Katzmanns because there's Jerry and Elizabeth, and there's Elizabeth. And they're all separate relationships. If we are all stardust, then I guess we haven't really lost Jerry. But I sure do miss the embodiment of my dear friend. I miss Jerry, and I miss Jerry and Elizabeth. So the love for these two organisms will just now need to flow into Elizabeth and all of you and all of us. And it's no worries. It's pretty much infinite, isn't it? So what's there to say about Jerry? What I know is that he made me feel calm, or at least calmer, even when I was only in the mood to feel agitated. There is no way your stress level wouldn't go down when you were with Jerry. It's that unruffled reflection, the ability to deeply listen without interruption and really hear you. You're kind of hearing a theme here, aren't you? It's the ability to express his ideas and opinions, but upon reflection, change his mind, and with a lack of ego involvement. And he always had that little grin. I bet you if you measured the cortisol level of those in a group setting with Jerry, you would find a measured reduction of stress. These are the Mayo people in here. I could see that. I didn't know if that one would go over. There was a time that Jerry and Elizabeth visited us in Phoenix. I was on our UU ministerial search committee, and it was really a highly stressful week. We were scheduled for late meetings every night that week, and I caught myself thinking and saying, maybe it wasn't the best time for a visit. But Jerry just said, Jan, we're adults. We can entertain ourselves, and we'll see you when you get home. No problem. And I heard Elizabeth kind of saying in the background, I think maybe this isn't a good time for them. But Jerry said they were coming, and he was right, because I needed Jerry and Elizabeth. And there we were at midnight, sharing conversation about UU governance structure and shared ministry, and some laughs, because you can only laugh about that stuff. I'm sorry. Right? And I kind of forgot about the rest of the week. It was just a perfect time. Jerry didn't sweat the small stuff. Helen and I were doing a long Midwest camping trip from Phoenix and stopping every now and then to do some campaigning for Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, our Phoenix UU minister, who later became the Unitarian Universalist Association president. And there weren't many great places to camp in Rochester, so we asked if we could camp in the First UU parking lot, since it was the middle of the summer and traditional UU off-season. So Jerry, who was the board president at the time, or maybe not, because it wouldn't have made a difference, just said yes. And so no biggie. We can solve this without a lot of bureaucracy. No need to get worked up or even ask permission. Well, we had a blast. We saw lots of UU friends, Mayo Clinic friends, And yes, we made a little contribution to the church. But there was Jerry at the heart of it. Consummately reasonable, no fuss, can do, minimal complexity, and that little grin. I really love it when people visibly, demonstrably love and respect their spouse, their family. You know, sometimes how you see little comments among partners, we snip at each other a little bit. Jerry and Elizabeth are nothing but love. Genuine, real deal, role model, mutual respect, and admiration. And that's what radiated all the time. I felt loved and cherished by Jerry. I felt special. And you know how it is when someone makes you feel special. You take it inside and want to make someone else feel special. And so it goes. Stardust. So that's it. Really nothing much to say about Jerry. I was going to end by saying how much this whole experience is really awful and just sucks. But then looking out at all of you, and I know those of you in the commons downstairs and out in the Ethernet somewhere, I'm thinking that not one of you right now is thinking, gee, Jerry's pretty much dead. Nope, you're thinking about that men's group discussion or on a Boundary Waters trip or playing with the grandkids or your kids in children's ministry, and maybe he's out in his garden. Or maybe you're just thinking about how he called you from the nominating committee, and now here you are on the board or whatever, maybe kicking and screaming, but probably not, because it's really hard to say no to Jerry. And you know something? You're probably really good at what you're doing and at your role, and I bet you're growing. And of course, Jerry would have known that, right? So we're all having these little pockets full of joy today. And there's Jerry, even as stardust, with that little smile, knowing that this house is filled with joy. So right on, brother. What a great life. Thank you.
Over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dreams that you dream of, dreams really do come true. Ooh, someday you wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind. Trouble melts like lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night,
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Boy. So many beautiful images, and there are so many more that you can enjoy in the commons downstairs, with floods of memories and gratitude. One of the first things Jerry said to me as he was serving as president of the congregation when I began serving here was, I don't know why anybody would want to be a minister. He said, it's like you have over 300 bosses. He was a wise soul indeed. And funny. And he was in this space right here. He placed his hand on my shoulder as I was formally installed as minister here in those large moments that you remember. But even more fondly, I remember the casual interactions in countless meetings or during Wednesday meals or fellowship events or Sunday morning in the lobby, welcoming people with a welcome that would almost knock you over with joy. Jerry showed up with a glad and gracious spirit, loving the past and loving the future. Even as we are in discernment about the future of our building and space, just right now in the midst of it, he said, I love this building and I don't want to leave, but it's probably for the best. And he gave us a vision of where to go, and yet poignantly, we gather to honor his memory still in this space, which was his spiritual home for decades. He loved to be with people. He could work the commons downstairs like no other, strike up conversation with longtime friends and welcome newcomers, and discuss simple gratitude for the day and larger, deeper questions of love and justice for the world. He was a mentor to youth in our coming of age program, including Myatt, who lit the Chalice, who he was working with on a land acknowledgement to be mindful of the indigenous lives rooted in history and now on the land of our new location. And in more serious settings, Jerry would joke about his main goal at any committee meeting, that his goal was to have less committee meetings. And sometimes he would have this little look on his face and rub his eyes as if to show like, this is getting a bit serious. Let's keep things joyful and light. And I wonder if he's doing the same today. Let's keep things joyful and light. Perhaps my favorite moment that he did a few times were on the Sunday mornings where he would speak to the children about his Jewish heritage, lighting the menorah at Hanukkah time. And with a smile and a twinkle in his eye, he would say, my religion taught me that I need to eat fried potato latkes and jelly donuts. And it was as if he converted all of the children to Judaism right there, and everybody in the room. Like, that's my religion too. And throughout it all, he held the story of his heritage and his family and the larger, wider appreciation of many stories and many traditions with reverence and gratitude and curiosity and joy. Among the family, there are many stories, more than can be shared in any amount of time, and how much we hold them. But here's one reflection from Jerry's nephew, Ben.
To my dear Uncle Jerry, your departure from this earth was a true shock to me, and I was deeply saddened that I did not get to say goodbye to you. I never got the chance to thank you for being such a positive role model for me, so I wanted to take a moment and express my thanks and gratitude on how you touched my life in so many ways. May Jerry's memory be a blessing, but may his memory also be a reminder of how to live your life and how to show love and empathy towards others, not just with words, but also with actions. Jerry was all of that. He taught me to stand up for those less fortunate. He taught me that sometimes we have to laugh. To sum it up, when you look up the word mensch in the Yiddish dictionary, you will see a picture of Uncle Jerry there. Growing up, Uncle Jerry was probably the biggest and strongest human I had ever known. I remember telling my little friends that my Uncle Jerry was the strongest man alive, and he could lift the house up by the foundation if he wanted to. This was most likely a detail provided by Grandpa Lou, because I do not know how a 7-year-old would really know what a foundation was. After seeing and meeting Uncle Jerry, my little friends all believed that he could in fact lift the house up by the foundation. As I grew older, I realized that Jerry's strength was not just a physical one. In fact, his real strength was in his faith and in his convictions. He taught me so much without me even knowing I was being taught. His love of life was contagious. He showed me that it is love that wins, not hate. Kindness gets you further in life. None of us know how much time we are granted to walk this earth. Jerry's life was one of the richest ones I can think of. He was so blessed in so many ways. I know that you and Aunt Lynn, Grandpa Rose, Grandpa Lou, and all our ancestors are now together and at peace. I will do my best every day to be more like Uncle Jerry.
His strength in so many ways was indeed a beautiful thing to behold, including when he would use his strength with some others to lift the maypole out in front, which towers many feet in the air. That's pretty dangerous for anybody to lift, actually, without machinery. And yet he would do it to bring joy, ritual, and community filled with color and light. And his spirit still does that. From Jerry's sister-in-law, Hari, who wrote these words, Elizabeth said this poem puts into words the family's feelings, the family's heart in these tender days. I will miss the sound of your voice as you told a story and carried me along to the end. I will miss not being able to say thank you for saving my life and guiding me to the kindest person to help me. I will miss how your face radiated love each time you said David or Emma's name. I will miss seeing your love grow with each new family member, Alan, Michael, Ollie, Kristen, Alex, Lily. I will miss your brilliant and thoughtful mind. I will miss your devotion to alleviating suffering through science, with food or shelter or with a kind word. I will miss how you loved me as I am. I will miss, I think most of all, how you would say my bride, Elizabeth. And I would giggle each time saying, you still say that? And you would say, my bride forever and eternity. I will miss you, Jerry. No one gathering, no one service, no months-long celebration, no collection of stories or moments or memories can hold the whole sum of a life. But each story is a thread, and each memory is a strand, and each embrace is a stitch that holds together a fabric of what a life has meant. that continues to hold us in our grief, surround us in our hearts, and we hope wrap us in comfort and in love in tender days. What a mensch Jerry was and is. What a good human being, a loving heart. So we too rub our eyes a bit and hold the grief, always still learning how to hold grief as we go. There is no science to it, but there is a love to it. And we hold on to each thread of gratitude and joy. And we say to each other, even in the midst of hardness, let's keep finding joy here too. Gratitude will sing one of his favorite hymns, Blue Boat Home. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. In this chalice font are these stones that say, remember. It's a simple reminder. And you, well, we don't have enough for all of you, For the immediate family, I invite you to take one as you leave today. A simple reminder to remember the simple solidness of Jerry's life and spirit and impact in 1,000 different ways, from stories to soil and to stars, that stays with you. After the music, we're going to stay for the postlude, I'll Fly Away, because nobody wants to miss that. And then there'll be some music as we move down to the commons and into the courtyard for reception and story, refreshments and embraces and storytelling. I invite you to receive this blessing. Before we move down there and chairs are shuffled, we'll leave some space for that too. Take a deep breath of gratitude for this time and this community and for Jerry's life. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. At the opening of the buds and in the birth of spring, we will remember him. At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, at the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, when we have joy we crave to share, when we have decisions that are difficult to make, as long as they live, we live, and as long as we live, they live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Dear beloved Jerry, from the dust and earth from whence you came, the earth you loved so much, so now you return. We carry with us the nourishment which you instilled in this world and in each of us. Into the embrace of love and light, eternal, one with the sacred earth and the lights and stars of the heavens and the spirit of life, may you be held in love. May the life I've lived speak for me. May the life I've lived speak for me. And at the end of my days, when there's nothing more to say, let the life I've lived speak for me. May the love I've shared speak for me. May the love I've shared speak for me. And at the end of my day, when there's nothing more to say, let the life I've lived speak for me. May his memory be a blessing. Amen.
Fine morning when my day is over, I fly away to joys will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. Can I die, hallelujah, by and by, fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. A gay bird from these prison walls, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away. When I die, hallelujah, by and by. by, I'll fly away. Like, oh, how glad and happy when we meet, I'll fly away. No more cold iron shackles on my feet, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joys will never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory, I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by,